So you are telling me that you want to also become a social media artist or an illustrator that has a lot of followers and that kind of stuff. I first got my start as an illustrator. I was just posting on Instagram because I had done a lot of studies and a lot of like different fan art, and I was just feeling like I wanted to show people, like, share my love and stuff. And I wasn't really that active on Instagram, to be honest. In the first place, I started my Instagram account back in 2018. It was for a stupid reason. It was like just to enter our high school class competition, and it wasn't even worth it. But I didn't post any of my art in there. It was mainly my private account, and it wasn't until maybe January 2020 I started actually posting my classwork on there. The numbers were obviously not that exciting. I wasn't that surprised though to see like only 5 people liked it, because who's going to find like one out of like 2 billion people like out there, like on Instagram, just posting art, because there are a lot of people who just post art out there. And so I just told myself, take it slow, just keep working on improving your own art, working on yourself. And so I would post on more different platforms like Facebook art groups, such as Concept Art and Illustration, Digital Art Group. I would post on DeviantArt. I would post on ArtStation, just to kind of like get my face out there, if anything. And I really typically only posted my best work just because I want the work that's out there to represent who I am and like who I want, what kind of art I want to make. And I think just slowly and slowly, I just kept working on myself, and like it's a good combination of luck, hard work, and like knowing the right times, the right tags, the right platforms to post to. And just suddenly, for some reason, during the era of Squid Game fan art, one of my posts blew up, and that really kind of gave a jump start and helped me sort of get my like into building a name. And I think the fact that I kept improving because I kept drawing, I kept posting consistently, and I guess tags were also involved, but I'm not very much in with the algorithm game, so I can't tell you if there really makes a big difference. I do know that I started doing a little bit more reels, which were kind of new to me because I didn't use TikTok. But obviously, I think reels are a little bit easier for people to consume because you can just scroll through and look at it, like it, whatever, right? I often did DTIYS for other artists that were already pretty big, and I think that is another way you can help get your name kind of noticed, because if the artist happens to choose you as like a winner or as an honorable mention, that typically gives you exposure to like all their followers that actually look at the post. And chances are, if they also like your art, they're gonna go to your page, like actually go to your page and maybe give you a follow. But just getting a follow isn't really enough. You have to consistently post stuff that makes them want to engage with your work, like comment or like message you or like share it, that kind of thing. So all in all, social media as an artist is kind of like being able to understand how to grow your friend group, kind of like how do you develop a fan base around some topic that you all love and share, and you're using your skills to showcase that kind of love. And I would say this industry is still kind of new to me, knowingly that when I was younger in high school, the options for like becoming an artist were either you get into like the film industry, the video game industry, or you're teaching, or you're basically gonna starve. And I didn't really even consider that social media kind of artist, like building your own small business as an artist, was technically a path, just a slight deviation from the traditional artist path. Because from what I've learned in art school or in my fine arts degree, as an artist, you're just independently creating work anyway, and you're using galleries as a way to market your work, which in this case, social media is now your gallery, which I guess is both more freedom but also a little more stressful, just because you don't have someone actively helping you promote your work. You got to be your own business manager, you got to be your own accountant, got to be your own social media manager, got to be your own tech manager. It's like, gosh, you can roll it all up into your resume and call yourself the ultimate package, right? Like, hire me right away. And so I feel like for people who want to follow after me, I wholeheartedly support you, but just keep in mind there are challenges because there's just so many people out there also gunning for that same job as you. So if you let that stress of trying to get the numbers get to you, and if you're trying to initially like jump wholeheartedly into making digital art your career without having like maybe a backup plan, it is a little bit scary, but I don't ever want to deter you from chasing after your dreams, because what are dreams for if not for sustaining our life? Because life would be pretty boring if we didn't have our dreams, right? And so some ways I would say how to brand yourself, find your style, make a social presence, etc., etc. Typically, founding a brand just means like showcasing your personality in the most genuine way that doesn't come off as too convoluted or as too arrogant, because a lot of people when I follow artists, I tend to like to follow artists who are very relatable, very personable. They're either funny, their art is really pretty, their personality is like they have the same cultural values, they do topics that I'm interested, or like same background that I'm interested in. And so think of these things when you're creating your art, and that will eventually like develop into a brand, as in like, oh, maybe you only do portraits, or maybe you only do like humorous comics, or like you only draw in this style. And like when it comes to style, I would say I never trust too much about it because it's constantly evolving for every single artist. I used to draw very manga like, so I used to draw very 3D, very 2D, I mean. So let's show you what I mean. I used to draw all my characters with your classic and complete with all those eye bubbles too. And that was my art style back in the day when I was like middle school, I think. And I would evolve. I would sometimes do my art style like okay, I used to not do nostrils. Sometimes I would do my eyelashes really thick back then. I would draw them like this. I think that was a phase after I like read some type of manga and I was like, oh my god, the eyelashes are so pretty. I love it. And so that was an art style for a hot second. I also had an art style where I exclusively did eyes like this, eyes like this, eyes like this. You get the point. I was super into manga, and I would say I've started to deviate from that just because I've matured as a person and as an artist. I want to challenge myself. And so there are different types of challenges that comes with manga art and semi-realism, and semi-realism just tends to focus more on like traditional skill sets, whereas manga art it's like how well you can push the boundaries and everything. And so style, again, I have changed styles, so I never use style as a way to define myself. I like to use my topic matter, the way I communicate, like how do I write my little blurbs underneath my artwork, right? I try to put in my humor, and I feel like people enjoy it, hopefully, because I enjoy it. Like, even if you guys don't laugh, I definitely will laugh. So if you laugh with me, that'd be great. Perfect. We can all laugh together. Creating a social presence. I hate the word influencer, but technically I am an influencer, question mark, question mark. I still feel like I'm just like a small town person because I have never met any of you in person. But when I do plan to go to a convention and sell my work one of these days, I hope to see some of you guys there, and it'll be great to actually touch base with you guys because I don't know how old you guys are. I'm guessing there's a huge range from like much younger, high school, middle school, to like say in the workforce, middle age, sometimes even much older. And that's fine because hey, I feel like I'm right in the smack middle after having graduated college where I'm still sort of like Gen Z kind of humor, but I'm also like leaning towards like being more mature because I have more adult responsibilities and I'm like, oh, I want to die, that kind of thing. And so right now I'm technically communicating with my followers, or hopefully if you purchase this class, you will become my follower. That's just my hope. But I would say when I try to communicate with my followers, I try to generally ask them like, how are they? Like, what are their thoughts? And like try to, connect with them, learn a bit more about them, share a little bit about me, share my day. Maybe they connect with that. And if I can't post, I try to share stories. I try to ask questions on my stories just to have a little bit engagement with my followers. And I find that that's always a little bit more uplifting to see when people do respond back to me. And I'm like, oh, there are people actually on this platform that follow me and are real. They're not just bots. Great. I just have a whole bunch of bots. Instagram won't block me. Thank God. So, regardless of whatever plan, whatever style, whatever art you want to make, everything comes down to who you are as a person. Are you confident enough to keep pushing yourself, keep improving? Do you have the self drive to actually maintain a schedule? Because let's be honest, work from home is both the worst and the best thing ever because you're your own boss, but you're also your own boss. So no one will tell you to get off your ass from playing Genshin and start doing work, right? You have to hustle. So there's a little bit of a hustle culture in the beginning, at least. So you have to like just discipline yourself, all right? And after making this course, I can say that I have definitely identified a lot of things that I still need to work on. But I hope that my really like quick blurbs about like the basics are helpful for you to start jumping into learning more advanced knowledge about the topic of character or portraiture, that kind of illustration. Because as I've said many, many times, character illustration, human bodies are one of the hardest things to paint or draw just because it's so close to home, but it's also something that requires you to have a very good handle on all your basic skills like color, composition, brushwork, etc., etc. And so I hope that everything turned out great. I want to see what works you've made. Did you think that I had something to say that was helpful? And if you enjoyed my humor or however empty silence we had, hope it wasn't awkward because I definitely was not listening to anime music while I was drawing and teaching you guys. So thank you so much for joining me in this class, and I will see you in the next class if I ever make one, or in a future video, or in Instagram. Wherever you want, just find me on Instagram, find me on the socials, and I hope we'll keep in touch. Bye!